You built this business with your bare hands, with your smarts, and with sheer effort. You can fix almost anything that comes your way. You can solve complex customer problems with a smile. But when it comes to your own business numbers, there's a pit in your stomach. Maybe the spreadsheet feels like a foreign language written in a code you can't even begin to crack. Or maybe, just maybe, you don't even have a clear picture of what's truly going on financially beyond what's in your checking account. And that feeling of not knowing, of operating in the dark, that's exhausting. It's a constant, low-level hum of anxiety. It leads to missed opportunities. It leads to wasted money and a deep-seated fear that you're missing something critical, something that could sink everything you've worked so hard for. What if understanding your numbers wasn't a chore? What if understanding it wasn't a source of dread, but in fact was your greatest power? What if it was the key to unlocking true control, undeniable confidence, and finally, the peace of mind you deserve? Well, stay with me because we're going to face this dragon on the show together today. Hey there, welcome back to Grit and Growth Business. I'm Estep Jr., and if you joined me last time, we talked about the uncomfortable truth that your business model might be the very thing holding you back and how to start diagnosing if your core structure supports your life and your growth. Well, this week, we're going to get into another area that can feel incredibly intimidating for many small business owners. But listen to me, hear me on this. This is absolutely crucial for regaining control and building confidently. And that's the power of knowing your numbers. Now, I know what you might be thinking. Numbers, Ralph, that's your job. I started this business to build, Ralph. I created to serve, not to stare at spreadsheets and calculate profit margins. And I completely get that. I truly do. For many of you, the thought of digging into financial statements brings on a headache or even worse, a sense of dread. And yeah, you might have tried it once or twice and you felt completely overwhelmed by the jargon and the columns and you just shoved it aside, hoping it will all magically work out. Because sometimes it's just easier to focus on getting the next client, isn't it? And you're not alone in feeling that way. Many gritty, hands-on entrepreneurs thrive on doing the work, on those tangible results, not crunching the numbers. But here's the painful truth that I've witnessed countless times over my 30 years as an accountant, over my 30 years as a coach, and as a fellow business owner. And hear me on this. Operating your business without a clear understanding of its financial heartbeat. It's like trying to navigate a dense fog in a car without a dashboard. Yeah, you're moving, you're busy, but you've got no idea how fast you're really going, or if you're about to run out of gas, if your engine is overheating, or if you're heading straight for a wall, or maybe even over a steep cliff. This kind of uncertainty is a constant source of stress. It breeds questions like, am I charging enough? Can I afford to hire? Where is all the money going? It leads to missed opportunities because you're too scared to take a calculated risk. And ultimately, here's what it does ultimately. Ultimately, it limits your growth. It keeps you smaller, more stressed, and less profitable than you could be. Because here's the truth. I've seen incredible businesses run by incredibly talented people. People like you, people like plumbers, people like bakers, people like landscapers, designers. All of them struggle or even fail, not because they weren't brilliant at their craft, they were, but because they ignored their numbers. Yeah, they were busy. Yeah, their phones are ringing, but they weren't profitable. They had revenue coming in, but no positive cash flow. They chased every dollar, but didn't know the true cost of getting it or the true cost of even delivering those services. And that, my friend, that's a painful and truly painful, frustrating place to be. And unfortunately, I've seen it way too many times with small business owners stuck right there. So you're asking, Ralph, what are the stress points that come from operating without that vital knowledge, from not knowing your numbers? Let's identify some common ones because chances are you felt at least one of these. The first one is this: busy but broke. It's a cycle. This is the most common and perhaps the most demoralizing that you can experience. Your calendar is packed. You're working 60, 70, even 80 or 90 hours a week. You're constantly doing something. But when you look at your bank account or what's left for you at the end of the month, it just doesn't add up. You've worked your butt off, but after all of these hours and all that effort, there's nothing left. This pain is deep frustration, and it's a sense of being trapped on a hamster wheel. You don't know why you're broke despite being busy, so you just work harder and harder, which only compounds the exhaustion and the stress. And yeah, that wheel keeps spinning faster, but you're not moving forward at all. You might think, hey, I just need more sales, but more sales on a broken financial model? Let me tell you something. That just means more work for the same, or hear me on this one, or even less profit. And this is a common trap I've seen with so many small business owners. And guess what it leads to? It leads to complete exhaustion and a lot of times, potential burnout. Well, how about this one? Guessing on pricing and profitability. Let me ask you this, and be honest. How do you price your products or services? Are you just pulling a number out of thin air? Just, hey, Rob, this worked? Just matching your competitors? Are you afraid to charge what you're truly worth because you'll lose those bids? That pain is immense, isn't it? See, you're constantly worried you're either leaving money on the table or worse. And hear me on this one too. You're losing money on every job because you actually don't know your true cost. You don't understand your time, your materials, or your overhead. And this guesswork will slowly but surely erode your entire business, one underpriced job at a time. It's business death by 1,000 cuts. And it also just chips away at your confidence. Again, I've seen this completely destroy many small businesses. Then there's this. I call it the nightmare of surprise bills and cash flow crises. You feel like you're constantly playing whack-a-mole with your money. Suddenly a large quarterly tax bill comes due, or equipment breaks down, or a big material order arrives, and you're just scrambling, you're stressing, maybe even dipping into personal savings or taking out one of those high-interest loans. And you know what the pain is here. The pain here is this constant financial anxiety, a feeling of being reactive instead of being proactive, and the absolute lack of control over your own money. And it spills over into your personal life. It affects your sleep. It affects your relationships. And listen, I've seen this decimate both a client's business finances as well as their personal finances. And it leads up to business failure and in many cases, personal bankruptcy. And finally, there's this one. There's just no clear path for growth or investment. You have dreams for your business. You want to hire another person to take some of the load off. You need new equipment to be more efficient. You can see it in your own mind. You want to expand into a new service or expand into a new market. But you've got no data. You've got no concrete numbers. You've got no business plan. Yes, you've got great ideas, but you've got no roadmap to support these decisions. And you're asking yourself, you just don't know if you can truly afford it or if it'll even pay off in the end, much less try to get financing for it. And so many of those people just throw the dice. They take the risk, and sometimes they lose big. Or the other option, they do nothing, and they stay in this persistent state of business paralysis. And I bet you felt this pain here before too. And that pain here is stagnation, a feeling of being stuck. You're unable to take those calculated risks that lead to real growth because you're blind. Your vision for your business is stifled. You're frustrated. Your motivation is deflated, and you just stop even trying. So let me ask you a tough question right now. Do any of these describe your current situation? I bet it does, or I bet it has at some point. And listen, I want you to hear this because I fully support you. These situations are not personal failings, my friend. They're not. These are direct consequences of not having a grasp on your numbers. But you're ready for the beautiful truth? The beautiful truth is this, and you need to hear this. The absolute truth is you can gain that grasp. It's not about becoming an accountant overnight. It's about getting clarity on a few key numbers that actually matter to your business. Yes, I'll keep my job, but you've got to learn a few items. And yes, I will teach you. Let's start the lesson for today. Are you ready? Well, school is in. Now, let me start by saying this. The power of knowing your numbers isn't about dread. It's about shifting from fear to control, and shifting from anxiety to confidence, and lastly, from stagnation to courage. It's about empowering you to start making decisions that genuinely move your business forward. They reduce your daily stress, and ultimately, they build a more profitable and sustainable business that truly serves you instead of you serving your business. Let's think back to our analogy of driving in the fog. Think of your numbers as your business's dashboard. Now, right now, maybe it's dark or half the lights are out, but imagine seeing that fuel gauge, that speedometer, that engine temperature, all clearly visible now. Well, that's the power we're talking about. So now you're asking, okay, Ralph, I get it. You've convinced me. What's the next step? Well, here are some concrete, actionable steps that you can take this week to start harnessing this power. Are you ready to take some notes? And don't worry, I'll tell you how to get my action sheet later in the show. First thing you've got to do, number one thing, start tracking all your income and expenses. No excuses. This is foundational. It needs to be non-negotiable. Don't think about categories perfectly yet. Just get it down. Every dollar that comes in, every dollar that goes out, you can use a simple notebook, you can use pen and paper, you can use a basic spreadsheet, and you can get an app like Wave, or you can get an app like QuickBooks or Excel, doesn't matter. Or you can even use your banking app's tracking features. Think about the goal here. The goal is to simply record the transaction. Because here is a truth that you need to hear today. You can't manage what you don't measure. As I always say, what gets measured gets done. And this simple act will immediately start to reveal patterns and give you a sense of control. So just start, and hear me, start today. Now, once you're collecting that data, it's time for step number 2. And step number 2 is identify your top 3 revenue streams and your top 3 expenses. Now, once you've got a few weeks of that basic tracking, look at where your money is really coming from and where it's really going. Let's talk about revenue first. The sales, the money that's coming in. Ask yourself, is it from a specific service? Is it from a particular product or maybe a certain type of client? What are your biggest earners? Because this information is information you've got to know. Now let's flip it over to expenses. The money going out. Is it rent? Is it materials? Is it specific software? Maybe for you it's wages or those marketing expenses. Ask yourself this. What are your biggest drains? What are those things that are draining you on the expense side the most? And guess what? You might be generally surprised, but you won't know them until you start tracking this data. It floors me just how many business owners' only source of information about their business is their checking account balance. So many people come in, hey, Ralph, I've got money in my bank. I must be making money. What's in the bank? What's the account balance? And while that is a critical part, listen to me, it doesn't tell the whole story. But focusing on these few key areas can give you immense leverage to make quick, impactful changes in your business. For example, if you see one service line is incredibly profitable, you can ask yourself, how can you market that more? Or if you've got one expense category that is ballooning, ask yourself, where can you trim? All right, so we've listed this stuff. Now we've found our heavy hitters. And now it's time to really do some analysis. Now it's time to calculate what is called your break-even point. And that's where we're going to start it. We're going to start it simply. And the break-even point is that point where the money coming in equals the money going out. That's what we call your break-even point. And this number is critical. This is one of the key numbers you've got to know. And this doesn't have to be some complex accounting exercise, but this is a crucial number. Just add up all your fixed monthly costs. The stuff you pay regardless of how many jobs you do. Things like rent or insurance or your salaries, utilities, fixed software subscriptions. All those fixed costs. And then I want you to think about your variable costs. Those are the costs per unit or per project. These are things like materials or maybe subcontractor fees for that specific job. And now I want you to just estimate how much revenue you need to generate just enough to cover those costs. Because here's the truth. Knowing this number gives you a clear target each month or quarter. It instantly tells you if you're busy just to break even. And hear me on this. Or if you're truly busy for profit. And this understanding, this one number can be incredibly empowering, and it can reduce so much of that underlying financial anxiety. Are you ready for it? Here's my key takeaway for this week. This is the vital plan to get and measure your numbers, and it's pretty simple. I want you to schedule a weekly, what I call numbers check-in. Treat it like a critical appointment. Listen, you schedule client meetings, you schedule project deadlines, and you schedule marketing efforts, don't you? Well, this is just as important, arguably even more important. So right now, block out 15 to 30 minutes each week to review your income. Review those expenses and check on your break-even point. Put this weekly check-in on your calendar. Make it non-negotiable. Make it part of your routine. Why? How does this help? Well, here's why. This consistent, low-stress engagement with your numbers will transform them from this scary monster into something that's manageable and helpful. Becomes a manageable and helpful tool. Tools make your business easier, and tools make your efforts more efficient and more effective. And you're going to build confidence, you're going to notice trends, and you're going to make smarter decisions proactively rather than reactively. You're going to stop putting out fires and actually start operating your business strategically. And listen, I know diving into numbers can feel like facing a dragon. You might tell yourself, I'm not good at math, Ralph, or I don't have time, or I don't want to see the bad news. But let me tell you something, friend, you are good enough. And here's some tough love. You really have no choice. You've got to master your numbers or you will fail. Your business will close its doors and your dreams will be completely dashed. See, most business advisors won't tell you that, but I'm telling you straight up, here's the truth. And this is the good news of today. It's not about being a math wizard. It's about being courageous enough to look. Because the truth, even if it's uncomfortable at first, is always less painful than the anxiety of the unknown. And by looking, you take away its power. Knowing your numbers is like giving you a map and a compass in a dense fog. It'll illuminate your path. It shows you where the dangers are, and most importantly, where the opportunities for true growth and freedom really lie. See, you've got the grit to build. Now, let's just give you the insight to build smart, to build strategically, and with ultimate confidence. And as I promised, to help you get started on this powerful journey, I've created a simple action plan sheet for this episode called The Power of Knowing Your Numbers. This free downloadable sheet will guide you through those crucial first steps of tracking, identifying key figures, and setting up your essential weekly numbers check-in. Listen, it's a practical tool to help you transform financial dread into financial power. And you can download it right now by visiting our website. That's gritandgrowthbusiness.com. Again, that's gritandgrowthbusiness.com. Download the action plan sheet and take that powerful first step towards mastering your finances, and do it today. You are an expert at your craft. You are an expert at your service, and you are an expert at building your business. It's time to become an expert at understanding its financial health as well. It's not about being a perfect accountant, but it is about being an empowered business owner. See, this is where real control and real growth begin. You've got this. I'm here walking alongside you. So thank you for joining me on Grit and Growth Business. I'm committed to bringing you honest conversations and practical strategies every week, just like today, to help you build your business the right way. Now, next week, we're going to build directly on this financial foundation as we discuss this. Fix your foundation before you scale. We'll explore why trying to grow too fast on a weak base, listen, it's going to lead to collapse, and how to ensure your business is truly ready for that sustainable expansion. That's the next tool you need for your business toolbox, so you make plans to join me again next week And don't forget to download your free action plan sheet for this episode. Again, that's at gritandgrowthbusiness.com. So until next week, my friend, God bless you. You've got the grit, and let's get to that growth.
Thanks for joining us today on Grit and Growth Business, the show where real business owners find the clarity, courage, and confidence to build something that lasts. If this episode spoke to you, go ahead and hit that subscribe button so you don't miss what's next. Remember, success isn't easy, and there are no shortcuts. But with grit, growth is possible. And when in doubt, just ask Ralph. This show is a production of Ask Ralph Media, supported by Saggio Accounting Plus. The content in this episode is based on information available as of the date of its release. Saggio Accounting Plus and Ask Ralph Media Inc. are under no obligation to update it should circumstances change. Please understand, this episode is not intended to be financial, tax, or legal advice. Your unique situation deserves tailored guidance, so before making any decisions, consult with your trusted tax professional or attorney.